Gisbergen has completed his first Cup trip to Las Vegas Motor Speedway and finishes in 29th place, 2 laps down. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. As I just said a second ago, Gisbergen has completed his first ever Cup race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and finishes in 29th place, 2 laps down. Shane qualified around 35th to 36th in the race, starting in the back of the field. And for the early portion of the race, Shane kind of held back to the back of the field. He fell back as far as last position and kind of fell back a second or two behind the field. But he started figuring out really quickly and started making up a little bit of ground and started catching the guys in front of him and moved up to about half a second behind. He did unfortunately end up going a lap down early in the race as the green flag pit stops continue, but then continued to move forward a little bit and moved from being 37th after the green flag pit stops up to 34th position, still 1 lap down. Then there was a caution that came out on lap number 64 when Austin Dillon got turned by Daniel Hemmer going into turn number 3, and basically Hemmer just flat out dumped Austin Dillon hard into the outside wall, bringing the caution out. During that caution, Shane would go ahead and take the wave run and get back on the lead lap and would stay on the lead lap for a good portion of this race. By the end of stage number 1, Shane, I believe, had crossed inside the top 30, around 29th to 30th position at that point. He did lose a little bit of ground, unfortunately, and that would hurt him very, very slightly, but it didn't fully affect him at that point, as Shane, by the end of stage number 1, was around 33rd to 34th position. Then on the next restart, Shane would continue to struggle a little bit. He actually would stay with the pack for a good portion, but unfortunately his car just did not have the pace and speed to keep up with the leaders, or unfortunately stay on the lead lap, and he would start losing a ton of ground once again. However, he would get a little bit of a break as a couple of the guys in front of him, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, and Ryan Blaney, would all get collected in a wreck on the front stretch. Tyler Reddick went upside down and flipping, barrel rolling, going down the front straightaway, and a bunch of those guys would get caught up in an incident, and none of those guys would end up staying on the lead lap, and they would go many laps down. This moves Shane from about 34th position up to around 29th or 30th position, and this is where he would kind of stay a lot of this race at this point. And then SVG just continued to get as much experience as is possible. And coming to the end of stage number 2, Shane would be around 29th to 30th position, around where Kyle Larson was after Kyle Larson unfortunately had a bad pit stop to drop him pretty far back. And then getting into stage number 3, there was a wreck that took place for Ty Gibbs that put him 2 laps down, about 195 or 196 in. That moved Shane up another spot into 28th or 29th position and would continue to stay there going through stage number 3. Now, Shane could have had the opportunity to play the strategy, and he could have, if he wanted to, played the field strategy where he could have gotten a lot better finish, maybe a top 10 or top 15. But Kaulig Racing, just like most teams, like the guy who had a chance to win, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, William Byron, they were among the guys that came down pit road, and Shane would also come down pit road as well to try to get tires. It had a really great fuel mileage finish for the win between Christopher Bell and Joey Logano up front. Shane, though, would be around 29th to 30th. Shane, unfortunately, also would go a second lap down and go 2 laps down by the end of the race. He would continue to lose a lot of track position and ground. It was a really close finish up front where Joey Logano held off a hard-charging Christopher Bell to pick up his 3rd win of the year and advance to the championship 4. And Shane would come off the corner and finish 2 laps down in 29th place. Considering the fact that SVG did not finish the last 2 races at this racetrack in Xfinity Series, where he had an engine failure on lap number 30 and failed to finish the race. And then last night, he fell out of the race on lap number 30 once again. Came back on the track a little bit with an engine failure, but still unfortunately ended up finishing last, 124 down. At least he was able to finish the race. And the most important thing for Shane going into next year is getting that experience. This is going to be a little bit of struggle for him in the Cup Series next year, though he will be in a little bit of a better car. I do know the Trackhouse does prepare the car, and he did have a new crew chief this week. Remember, he did not have his crew chief, Travis Mack, because Travis Mack is rumored maybe to be going to Legacy Motor Club next year. He had Darian Grubb, who, of course, had worked with him in his only Cup Series win he's had up to this point at Chicago last year. He had him to work with for this event. I don't think Shane had the best car in the world, to be honest with you, in this event. Kaulig hasn't had the best cars out there on the Cup side of things, and there just was a lot of work to do. But his 2 Trackhouse teammates, Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, showed some really good speed. Daniel Suarez did finish 3rd, and Ross Chastain get a top 10 finish. Ross had a pretty good car as well, and was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Shane is going to have a little bit of a learning curve going into next year, but I do think Shane will continue to improve. And that's the most important thing. He did improve as this race progressed and went on. He went from being a couple seconds behind the field to continuing to move a little closer to the front. And ultimately for Shane, going into the 2025 season, that's what he's going to need to do. We know he is going to be one of the fastest guys on road courses, and he's probably going to be super fast on super speedways. I do expect that he is going to go out there and win some races next year on the road courses, but he's probably going to struggle a little bit on the intermediate tracks and probably even the short tracks as well. And getting this experience for next year is really huge. He's only got one other scheduled NASCAR Cup Series race for 2024. That, of course, is going to be at Martinsville in 2 weeks from now, and he'll be able to learn the short track side of things. So he's also going to learn one of the big issues the next-gen car. Unlike the Xfinity Series car, it's very difficult to pass on the short tracks. And that's going to be something that he'll have to definitely learn throughout the event. And he's also going to have a really tight rookie battle next year. He's going to be only up against potentially Riley Herbst, even though Herbst's future is definitely in question at the moment right now. And he's also going to have Cole Custer and Allmendinger moving back up the Cup next year. He'll have to deal with, he'll probably be racing against guys up front on road courses like Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, who won the race today, you name it. He's going to have a lot of learning to do in the event, but he's going to be someone to watch for, I think, hopefully next year. And hopefully by the end of the year, he can be up front on the ovals, contending for wins and victories. I think it's going to be really tough to do, but him being in a Trackhouse car, especially working with Steven Durant, who's been really good at making adjustments for Zane Smith this year, I do like SVG's chances going into next year a lot more because I do like the crew chief he's going to have. They've been showing a lot of improvement over that 71 car this year, and SVG having that same crew chief to really work with him in 2025, I think is going to be really huge for the organization going into next year. Again, it's not the best performance in the world for Shane, but he didn't have the best car out there today. I was not expecting him to be a major threat. I thought maybe he'd have a chance at a top 20 with working with Darian Grubb, but he just didn't have the pace and speed to contend today. But it still was a solid run, not a solid run, but still at least he got a top 30 finish, which is the most important thing, and completed as many laps as possible in today's NASCAR Cup race. He got a lot of experience, and that's what's the most important thing for Shane going into the future. So, that is going to be it for the Shane Van Gisbergen episode, the details of what happened at Las Vegas. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, thus go live on my channel. Follow me through Facebook and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. How do you think SVG performed today at Las Vegas? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we'll have an NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. Talk about drivers like Hailie Deegan, especially with her NXT test she did. Talk a little bit also about some silly season rumors, among other things. We're also going to talk about Carl Edwards, all those people as well. Then Tuesday, we're going to have entries for this weekend at Homestead, and we're also, of course, going to have basically the starting lineup of the Truck Series race picked for the weekend at Homestead. I got a lot of great content dropping this week. Wednesday, I have a NASCAR news video dropping, and there'll be a lot of great and awesome content dropping over the course of the next couple weeks that I can't wait for you guys to check out and see what you guys have in store. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.